Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk video. I would never call anybody a jerk for not hitting the like and subscribe buttons down below, but you certainly wouldn't be a jerk if you did hit them. That said, our first story of the day is by Natalie Newman. Am I the jerk for telling my son to get over himself, man up, and stop publicly calling his wife deadweight? My son and his wife are 25 and 27, and I'm 45. They both worked full-time until a few months ago when his wife had to stop for reasons that aren't mine to share. And my son has become insufferable. It recently culminated in me telling him he needed to stop whining about the situation and man up. I love my son very much, but he's always online posting about how hard he has to work, or going on unprovoked monologues about the stresses of being a family's sole breadwinner. He does this very openly, doesn't even try to hide it from his wife. It clearly makes her feel bad or like she's not pulling her weight, since he also talks about having to do everything around the house and care for his wife since she's on IR for now. I talked to her and she told me she wasn't bothered by anything but him claiming he does everything at home. Because according to her, he doesn't. When I pointed everything out to him, he said, "Well, you and her can't understand what it's like to be the sole income of a household, and that I should ask Dad since he could tell you." His father was the sole breadwinner for a long time. I work too now though, but yes, he knows what it's like. But he, his father, or my father, were never this dramatic. I never once heard my husband or dad express any worry over bearing the entire burden. These were men. They didn't do that. They manned up and kept it moving. Sure, they may have felt a little uneasy about it, but they didn't dwell on it. And they certainly didn't belittle their wife's contributions and lie about doing everything at home as well. My daughter pointed out he's my son, and I shouldn't be standing up for his wife if it means putting him down. But I'm just tired of him constantly moaning and groaning in person and online about his situation, along with basically saying his wife is not pulling her weight. I definitely would say that OP is not the jerk in the story. For clarification, by the way, there's kind of grades you give the people who make these stories and questions. There's you're the jerk, you're not the jerk, everyone sucks here, there's no jerks here, and there's not enough info. In this one, I would lean not the jerk, maybe somewhat not enough info because you don't know what exactly is going on with the wife, but I feel like at the very baseline, there's no reason that OP should be going around saying all these awful things about their wife, regardless. Deal with it like you should in relationships and keep it private, work through it with the people who are actually involved in it. Who enjoys hearing about some guy go, "Oh yeah, my wife is so incapable, I've got to do everything here, at work, at home"? Does anybody besides like a therapist who gets paid to listen want to hear that stuff? What do you think? Is OP the jerk in the story for saying those things to their son? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The next question's by Misty Eyes Duck. Am I the jerk for just leaving my mom to sit in a hotel for a week after she insulted my family? I haven't seen my mom in years. I moved out to Los Angeles when I was 16. She cut off all contact with me. Since that time, I've moved on with my life. I met a wonderful man and have 2 children with him. He's Latino, so he often speaks Spanish in his family with my children. I only speak very little Spanish, but it's a non-issue in his family. My mom came out and visited my other brother who lives near. He's in a similar situation with his fiancée. Well, my brother's fiancé wanted to meet his mother and heal the wounds of the past. We repeatedly warned her that our mom is a religious fanatic and regularly watches Fox News. Her views on Latinos are not good. Within a few hours of meeting, my mom, fiancé, my husband, and my 2 children chat on and off in Spanish. My mom flips out, saying that they're trying to breed into white culture and destroy it. Yes, breed. That's why they, Latinos, are mating with white people to dilute our bloodlines. At this point, I took my kiddos and left. They don't need to be around it. My mom also got mad at my brother's fiancé and called her a nasty S-word when trying to reason with my mom. So that was that. Mom sat in a hotel by herself for the rest of the week. My brother and I split the cost. Neither of us talked to her after that. She has a few more issues with mask mandates, so she refused to go into restaurants and just made herself miserable. My grandma and cousins say we're the jerks for leaving our mom stuck in a city because she couldn't afford to change her plane ticket. But mom never once tried to meet our family without being racist. So I feel like this one is like a softball lobbed up for everybody to collectively just smash that ball out of the park and say, not the jerk. You do something nice, you pay for the hotel room, you try to reconnect with somebody that is estranged from you, and what do? They turn around and say you're trying to ruin a bloodline and all these awful things that, quite frankly, like OP said, doesn't need to get in the kids' heads. They don't need to think about that stuff. This is somebody that just lives on a totally different conscious plane from everybody else. There's no connecting with that. You don't owe them anything. You're paying for the hotel. They can enjoy it. Have a nice week. Our next question's by 3H Jaff. Am I the jerk for telling a woman with a newborn a dog can give birth? So there's this woman I work with who gave birth 2 months ago, and she's constantly bragging about it. I'm not kidding you when I say she talks about her pregnancy experience and her newborn every single day. The other day, she was, once again, talking about how many hours she was in labor and how hard it is being a mom. And I jokingly said, you know, a dog can give birth too. She didn't find it funny at all, and she'd given me the cold shoulder for the past couple of days. I kind of feel bad about it, but I just got tired of it. I'm a woman too, if that makes it any better. Am I the jerk? This one is definitely, I feel like, a petty one, but I do feel like OP is the jerk in the situation. The fact of the matter is, the woman is a newborn mom and going through those struggles and learning how it's like. I couldn't even imagine. And they're at work 2 months after giving birth. I'm sure it's a lot to handle. For this lady, it's probably their coping mechanism to get through it, just talking about it. Like, what OP said was in jest, but they also said they're kind of tired of it. I don't know, I feel like it's a light one, but I feel like OP is the jerk. Do you agree with me? Let me know. This next question's by Exotic Teaching 2576. Am I the jerk for telling my husband our daughter won't be around my mother-in-law unless she shuts her mouth? I'm facing some very weird issues with my mother-in-law that I never thought I'd deal with. My husband is red-haired / ginger, and his mom has some soft ring curls. His dad is a ginger as well, so it's genetics. My 1-year-old daughter is also a ginger. I never once thought of a reason why my daughter should feel uncomfortable with her hair color and curls until my mother-in-law made it an issue. My mother-in-law hates ginger hair. She always tried to convince my husband his skin is empty and his hair is ugly. That happened since childhood. My husband grew up with a lot of self-hate, which he overcame once his inner circle of friends tried to lift him up and encourage him to feel confident. Now my husband loves his looks. My mother-in-law seems to do the same thing she did to my husband when she's around my daughter. She says stuff like how unlucky she is she got that hair, how she's gonna spend hundreds in her life to dye her hair, how the curls are ugly and not easily tamed, her freckles and all that. My husband has told her multiple times to stop doing that because our daughter will internalize all these thoughts and hate her appearance for no reason. Mother-in-law throws tantrums claiming my husband won't let her have an opinion. Every time it happens, my husband tries to put a stop to it, but it never works. One of the times she visited, she brought a plastic wig to see what my daughter would look like with brown hair. That's where I spoke up and said, the joke is over now, enough. You either cut that stuff out or get out. She guilted me, telling me how I should be grateful she's looking out for my daughter so she'll avoid being bullied. She threw one of the usual tantrums about being entitled to her opinion and left. Once she left, I told my husband that his mom will not be allowed around our kids again, unless she shuts the freak up and stops trying to force insecurities on my kid. I want my kid to love herself growing up, and if her grandma causes her insecurities instead of self-love, she has no business being around. My husband said that his mom is indeed being ridiculous, but I'm taking it too far, suggesting she doesn't see the kid. Am I the jerk? Definitely not the jerk. And one thing I was struggling with all throughout this story is OP's mother-in-law said they don't like ginger people. Why did they get with and marry a ginger man if they hate it so much? The whole logic that this mother-in-law has is like so hypocritical. Your spouse and your child are ginger, but you despise it like to high heavens? The bottom line, no kid needs to have those insecurities forced upon them. OP is not a jerk for demanding somebody that can't keep to themselves, being raised in a situation and being able to develop the mind where you're being taught self-love is the best, versus somebody like, oh, hate this about yourself, hate this about yourself, this thing, that thing. It's obviously going to be better for the kid. This next question's by Puzzle-Headed Car 1801. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay a missed appointment fee? I had an appointment to get my hair cut and colored last week. They have a policy, which I was never made aware of, that canceling an appointment with less than 24 hours notice is a $25 fee. When I arrived, the stylist was sick. He had snot running down his face and was hacking and coughing everywhere. He said it was just a cold that went to his lungs and now he has bronchitis. He indicated that it definitely wasn't COVID because he already had that and it felt different, but he wasn't even tested. I told him I wasn't comfortable with letting him cut my hair when he was this sick. He laughed at me and coughed at me, so I packed up and went to leave. He and the manager told me I owed $25 if I canceled. I told them flat out, no way. You want $25? You can sue me for it, and walked out. I left a scathing review online and have literally told everyone I know about my negative experience. I'm actually friends with the stylist's husband, so it's lots of mutual friends and clients I'm talking about this with. The thing that bothered me the most was when he laughed and coughed at me. I really don't care if it is COVID or the flu or a cold. I don't want it and feel he shouldn't be working so close to people when he is sick. The manager called me to insist on the fee, but I'm sticking to my guns. No fee will be paid unless they sue me for it, period. In the meantime, I'll never do business with them again. Let's put this into perspective. They don't know OP's conditions. OP could have been very immunocompromised. Just the fact that OP was in the building when that happened could have been enough to put them in the ICU. Do you think OP's a jerk for somebody that's snotting and coughing being the reason they cancel on the spot? I don't. They're not the jerk to me. What I would do is keep doing what OP's doing. Put the name of the company out there, the branch out there, tell anybody you can, and continue every time the manager or whoever tries to get a hold of you. Tell them that the more they go on about this, the more I'm going to talk about your sick, snotting employee trying to give me a haircut, and then you demanding I pay for that. If they're going to be stubborn about this, I say you use the power of modern social media and drum up enough outrage over how ridiculous the story is. I'd be willing to bet that you could probably get some kind of local news station to want to cover a story like that. And our final question of the day is by an anonymous poster. Am I the jerk for not letting my mother-in-law babysit my daughter? My daughter is breastfed exclusively, and my mother-in-law knows this. When I bring my daughter to my mother-in-law's house, I bring enough breast milk that she'll have plenty with all the bottles and equipment for her. I've recently found out she's only feeding my daughter formula because she believes breast milk is dirty and has been throwing out all my breast milk. She said to my face, breast milk is dirty because mothers who have sex pollute their own bodies. She has never liked me, and I've tried to get along with her, but my husband just keeps his head down and refuses to speak up in my defense. I've hired a babysitter, and I won't let my mother-in-law babysit my daughter, and my husband and I have been fighting because she's crying to him, and he doesn't see it as a big deal how she's fed. I feel like my family is getting split apart. I'm gritting my teeth and letting my mother-in-law walk all over me because of my husband. But this is outrageous to me because it should be my choice how I feed my baby. But am I wrong for not letting her babysit her anymore because I don't trust her to follow how I want to feed my baby? So, what kind of logic does this mother-in-law have? Breast milk is dirty? I'm sorry, but do you know how humankind got to this point? Do you understand how logically, most likely that mother-in-law was fed as a baby? Our ancestors weren't like, okay, I'm gonna go forage for formula. Mothers who have sex pollute their own body? What? I don't understand any of this logic. So, that said, in my opinion, I definitely think OP is not the jerk. And what I'm failing to see is, how is this husband so complacent with everything? Do they not see the pure, unadulterated issue? Not to mention, imagine being a mother and going through the effort of pumping all that breast milk and having it ready, just to come home and find out, oh, I threw it all away, don't worry. Like, even if the mother-in-law wasn't using it, OP could have still used it. If I was one of the parents in the situation, I would be frustrated, I would be livid, and I would support the decision for the mother-in-law to not babysit the daughter because that's just ridiculous. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these questions and stories I've read for you today, which was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.